It was an inexcusable performance for the Kentucky Wildcats at Georgia. Mark Stoops said as much today here at his Monday press conference. And he said his team, they're going to respond. That's going to happen. He was rather authoritative, Drew Franklin, when he said, we will. I kind of was like, oh, okay. All right, Mark.
Makes me feel a little bad for the players, whatever they've, about to go through. I guess they had yesterday off. The NCAA gave them some freedom on Sunday by law. But today I think they're in for some trouble with Mark Stoops, just how he was so matter of fact of how, oh, trust me, they will respond. I don't know what he will do to get to that result, but he seems to have a formula that he's going to go through today that I'm sure will not have them in a good place based on how everyone performed last Saturday. I don't feel bad for any of them today. I do feel bad for them today.
He said, I can't promise wins or losses, but we will respond. It was very matter of fact, so Drew's right. They're going through something.
We don't know what.
No.
Don't wish it on anyone.
Up downs. I mean, I don't even know. Have you ever seen him do the rolling thing? That looks miserable too.
I almost got kind of nervous because it was almost like a calm, peaceful, like they're about to get it. I mean, he was mad, upset, but it was very somber. Like it was very, very just low, monotone. Like, oh, it's coming. So
he was excited about Monday, which says team meeting. There might be some paint peeling from the walls. And it was kind of a double down, Nick, because we heard him after the game. But how much is that? He's just mad because they just got their teeth kicked in. But I think he was even madder after watching the film. So I think long week of practice, and Stoops going out of his way to tell us that. He got asked a question, and he said, that's not going to happen, talking about the hangover, essentially. We got asked,
right.
Because one loss turned to 3. He's putting his money
where his mouth is.
He is. So we'll see how that plays out. But I would, just based off his comments, he's going to have this group ready to play on Saturday, and it could be a long week of practice.
There's a couple things too where you're like, all right, well, let's see exactly what went wrong. Part of it is just passing game, both offensive and defensive, and we didn't get clear, concise answers on any one of them. When talking about the secondary, it was like, well, sometimes Georgia just made good plays, but then he alluded to the dirty eyes, right? And not playing with good technique. And now Kentucky's going to have to go into a game against a good pass offense without Jalen Geiger, one of the older, more experienced players on the defense. He's going to be out a couple weeks. So I don't really know what to expect from them. And the same thing with Devin Leary, too, where we can't get any one thing to kind of pin down what's been wrong with him because he's shown flashes of good throughout his struggles.
Yeah, I think pitch and catch was the word we heard, or phrase, multiple times. The pitch for Leary. If they're open, put the ball on them. 2, the receivers. If the ball comes to you, catch the freaking football. Kentucky, they're second in the Power 5 in drop rate, with the worst. 11.7% of Leary Sterling's receivers are being dropped. And most of those drops are coming from the big 3.
Yeah.
I think 10 of the 12 have come from the big 3, according to PFF data that we have. So, you got to catch the football. I think, Devin Leary is getting it online right now. It's rough out there in the social media streets for him. But he needs the supporting cast has to help him. The guy who didn't drop passes dropped 2 on Saturday, Tavian Robinson. So it's becoming like a contagious thing. I mean, they've got to catch the football, but there's also stuff I think he can do better. They said they're looking at some stuff, Nick. I think that's smart. They got to find a way to get him comfortable and playing with confidence. I don't think that's happening right now, and I think it's a combination of things, right? Your receivers aren't catching the ball. It's kind of hard to play with confidence if you know there's a chance you could make the best throw ever, and they're not going to come down with it, and then you might be forcing things and whatnot. So there's some stuff they got to figure out, and Liam Cohen needs to earn the paycheck. I mean, they got to figure out the passing game.
The way he said we're looking at everything when talking about the passing game, I sensed some of that when Liam Cohen said that after the game. You sense some of that frustration that they've been trying to do things that maybe Leary's more comfortable with. So, maybe there is some more half reads for him where he's not having to look at the entire field. Maybe there's some quicker stuff. Maybe there's more tempo, like what we saw before that holding call, or it was the late hit, I think, that brought back the quick tempo Barryon Brown throw. But we do have to give some credit because even though Stoops described it as an inexcusable performance when he was asked, did anybody play good? Stoops did shout out Dane. As much as Dane, it was tough on him on the social media streets for a while, but Stoops said he put in the work in practice, and it showed up Saturday at Georgia.
Yeah, unfortunately, it didn't matter much in the end, but I guess that was one positive Stoops had. When the question was asked, name some positives from Saturday, I'm surprised he had an answer. So I'm glad Dane got called out in that spot. It's just that there's so many negatives. He even still complained about last Tuesday. There's even been a game. He was so mad about last Tuesday. He brought it up again today since the game's been played. I found it very interesting. After the game, Ray Davis was asked about that Tuesday practice, and he said, I'm not looking back at Tuesday. We're here. Stoops, he's still talking about how Tuesday in Georgia, he made an emphasis. Stoops mentioned a report he read. Never reads anything, but this one he did. How Georgia says their success is because they're Tuesday, Wednesday, their entire process. Whereas Kentucky, he was pretty upset with them last week, and he's still harping on that, even after they had a whole game of things to complain about.
Somebody sent me something. That's how I read it. Yeah, come on.
I love all the coaches. I don't read anything, but then this one story that someone just happened to leave on my desk.
Not sure how that thing got up there. But Kentucky, they're going to be facing, as we said earlier, a Missouri attack that puts up a lot of yards. Brady Cook. I thought he stunk last year. Was wondering why they didn't go to the portal to get another guy. He's been great in year two. And Luther Burden, all last year, it was why isn't Luther Burden getting the ball? Now he's getting the ball more than any other receiver in the Power 5.
Yeah, he's playing like a 5-star recruit that he was. And he's on his way to being an All-American. Brady Cook is playing excellent football. That's probably one of the biggest surprises of the SEC this year. And Kirby Moore, their new offense coordinator, has done a great job. But you look at Missouri, Nick, pass defense is bad, surprisingly bad, because they've got two pro guys that are going to be drafted at cornerback. So you're facing a defense here where you should be able to have some success throwing the football. And that's, to me, the big question this week. Missouri's going to score on Saturday. Mm-hmm. Kentucky's going to have to score to go win the game. Can you win a 31-28 type game? Can your offense get there? Can you pass the ball well enough to get there? That's the big question for me this week. Can you throw the ball well enough to go beat a good passing offense who's slinging that rock around the yard right now? And that's something we're going to have to figure out, because that's, I think, the kind of game Kentucky's going to have to win. And it's got to start now. Leary's got to snap the funk now. It's got to end right now. And I think there's a lot of pressure on the offense, specifically because the defense, they're going to give up some yards and some points, I think, to this Missouri group. So you're going to have to go score some points to win this football game.
We're feeling down. We're feeling out. It's only 2 days removed from a shellacking, a 50-burger at Sanford Stadium. But in just a few days, we'll be right back here at Kroger Field, sold out, homecoming, Keeneland, football weather. It's going to be electric. We got to get up off the mat, too. It's not just the Kentucky football team. The Big Blue Nation has to get up off the mat, because it's a big game Saturday night. You win that game, you go into the bye 6-1. Your whole season in front of you. All of your dreams are still there for the taking. Georgia, they're pretty good. It was bad. It was ugly. Time for everybody to get up off the mat ahead of Saturday's matchup with Missouri.